Do you remember when things actually felt fun? Not forced. Not something you had to convince yourself to enjoy. Just natural. You'd load up a game, sit down, and hours would pass without you even noticing. You weren't checking the time. You weren't thinking about what else you should be doing. You were just there, fully in it. And somehow, that felt enough. Even the smallest things felt different back then. Waiting in the lobby, running around a map, talking to people. It wasn't about being productive. It wasn't about improving yourself. You were just enjoying something and you didn't question it. But now, even when you do the exact same things, it doesn't hit the same. You try to recreate that feeling. You load up the game again, you scroll through your phone, you watch something you used to enjoy, and for a moment it almost feels familiar, but then it fades, and you're left with that same feeling again, that emptiness, that weird disconnect, like you're doing everything right, but it's not landing, and you don't understand why, because nothing is obviously wrong. Your life might even look better on paper. You might have more freedom, more options, more access to everything. But somehow, it feels worse, heavier, like everything takes more effort than it used to. Even things you used to look forward to. And that's when the thoughts start creeping in. What's wrong with me? Why don't I care anymore? Why does everything feel so dull? And the scary part is, you don't have an answer. So you start blaming yourself. You think maybe you're lazy. Maybe you've changed too much. Maybe you've lost something. And slowly, without even realizing it, you start pulling away from things. Not all at once. Just small things. You stop getting excited. You stop looking forward to things. You stop putting energy into things you used to enjoy. And life becomes this cycle. Wake up, do what you have to do, distract yourself, sleep, repeat. And days start blending together, weeks go by faster, months start disappearing. And at some point, you realize something that feels uncomfortable to even admit. You're not really living anymore. You're just existing. And the worst part, you don't even remember when it changed. There wasn't a moment where everything broke. No clear turning point, just a slow shift that you didn't notice until it was already too late. The strange thing is, nothing obvious actually happened. There wasn't some big event that caused this. No single moment you can point to and say, that's when everything changed. It was gradual, almost invisible. You just got a little busier, a little more distracted, a little more tired, and over time, your brain adapted to that because now everything is constant. There's always something happening, something to watch, something to scroll, something to think about, something to worry about. Your brain never really switches off anymore. And that's where things start to break down. Because even when you think you're resting, you're not actually resting. You're just switching to a different kind of stimulation. You're scrolling, watching, consuming, comparing yourself to people you don't even know, thinking about things you should be doing, thinking about things you didn't do, thinking about things that haven't even happened yet. And it never stops. There's always something running in the background, always noise, always pressure, and it builds up slowly. You don't notice it day to day, but over weeks, months, years, your mind just becomes full. And when your mind is full, nothing hits the same because there's no space for it to. Think about it. That feeling you used to have, that excitement, that presence, it came from being fully there. Not split between 10 different thoughts, not distracted, not overloaded, just there, but now you're never fully in the moment. You're doing something while thinking about something else. You're watching something while checking something else. You're talking to someone while your mind is somewhere else entirely. And over time, that disconnect becomes your normal. So things don't feel worse because they are worse. They feel worse because you're experiencing them through noise, through pressure, through constant mental weight. And eventually, even the things you love start to feel empty, not because they changed, but because your ability to feel them did. And once that happens, it creates this loop. Things don't feel good leads to, so you look for more stimulation. More stimulation leads to more mental noise. More noise leads to things feel even worse. And the cycle keeps going and going and going until one day you just feel stuck in it and you don't know how to get out. But here's the part that actually matters. You didn't lose that feeling. You didn't break something inside yourself. You didn't suddenly become someone who can't enjoy life anymore. You just buried it under everything else, under the noise, the pressure, the constant thinking. And that means it's still there. You're not broken, you're just overloaded. And when you're overloaded, everything feels heavier than it actually is. That's why simple things feel hard. That's why nothing feels exciting. That's why you feel disconnected from things you used to care about. Not because life lost its meaning, but because your mind doesn't have the space to feel it anymore. And most people get this wrong. They think the solution is to do more, be more disciplined, be more productive, force themselves to feel something again. But that just adds more pressure, more noise, more weight, which makes the problem worse. The real shift is the opposite. It's not about adding more, it's about removing some of the weight, creating space again, even just a little. Moments where you're not distracted, not consuming, not thinking about 10 things at once, just present. And yeah, at first, that feels uncomfortable because you're not used to it anymore. Silence feels strange. Stillness feels unfamiliar. But if you stay there for a bit, something starts to change. Slowly, subtly. You start noticing things again. Small things. Moments feel a bit clearer, a bit lighter. You're not constantly pulled in 10 different directions. And over time, that feeling you thought was gone starts to come back. Not all at once. Not in some dramatic way, but in small moments. And those small moments matter because they prove something important, that this isn't permanent. You didn't lose yourself. You didn't lose your ability to feel things. You just got buried under everything. And once you start clearing that, even a little, things don't feel as heavy anymore. Life doesn't suddenly become perfect, but it becomes real again. And maybe that's where it starts. Not fixing everything overnight, not becoming a completely different person, but just making things feel a little lighter, one moment at a time.